Hi guys, welcome back to my chess channel. Today I'm going to show you a game which I found out very interesting, and it's a game between Garry Kasparov with the black pieces and Jeroen Piket with the white pieces. This game was played in Tilburg in Netherlands in 1998. So let's see this game. We are going to briefly analyze it and talk about the game. Jeroen Piket started with d4. Garry played knight to f6. Knight to f3, g6, d4, bishop to g7, knight to c3, and Kasparov castles, e4, d6 needs to be played, and we have bishop to e2, the standard King's Indian defense. In this position, black can play a lot of moves. You can play rook to e8, maybe c6, knight to d7, knight to c6, a6 or a5, even b6 can be played, c5, but here Kasparov played the most played move, which is e5, Piket castles, and knight to c6, putting further pressure on d4 pawn. Piket closed the center with d5, challenge the knight, and knight needs to go back, knight to e7. Even myself, I had this position many times on the board, and here white can play a lot of different moves. White can play h3, white can play bishop to g5, bishop to e3, bishop to d2, maybe a3, maybe a3, a3, b4, the bayonet attack, rook to b1, knight to d2 is a very good move, but here Piket played knight to e1. And I'm going to ask you what's the purpose and main idea behind this move. The idea behind this move is that e1 knight wants to go to d3 square and support the c5 break with when the pawn will come to c5, we will support the pawn to try to challenge the d6 pawn. So let's see what happened. Kasparov prepared his expansion on the king side with knight to d7, bishop to e3, controlling the c5 square, and f5, striking the center, cementing the e4 pawn, and closing f4. Bishop goes back, bishop to f2. And in this position, if you are starting out with King's Indian defense, white is going to expand on the queen side, and black is going to expand on the king side. So g5, the most principal continuation. And Piket tried b4, just a move away from c5 square. Knights need to come back to the action, to the king side. So knight to f6 and c5. And the other knight goes to g6, and we have a trade. He takes, c takes, and rook to c1. In this position, Kasparov played rook to f7. This is a typical King's Indian plan. The rook goes to f7, and the bishop can come later back to f8, and the rook to g7. So what's the idea behind this move? This is a very useful defensive move, because the rook defends the 7th rank, and especially the weak c7 square. And secondly, This is also an important attacking offensive move because the rook can come to later to g7 square and put a lot of pressure on white's king. So it's very useful that you are familiar with these plans. Here in this position, if Piket played knight to b5, Kasparov would play a6, knight to a7, trying to get the bishop. Bishop would move to d7 and the knight is trapped. So this line doesn't work. When a4, Piket played a4, and here Kasparov played bishop to f8 and a5. Trying to control the b6 square, but Kasparov developed the bishop, and he wants control on the light squares, and Piket ignored and played knight to b5. He was trying to make Kasparov trade his light square bishop for the knight, but that would be pretty bad decision. And the knight is eyeing the weak dark squares. So I'm going to ask you, you are a King's Indian player, what would you play in this position? The best move is ignoring the knight and the threats, and the best move is g4. I'm going to show you a line which Kasparov represents in a book, and if Piket would took the pawn on a7, we would see something like g3. Bishop attacks the queen, queen goes to e7, and king to h1, knight to h5, and knight back to b5, eyeing that c7 square again. We would see something like g takes, and you need to keep an eye on g3 square. Some trades, bishop takes, knight check. You need to take the knight, or you're getting checkmated. If you don't take the knight, you will lose the rook, but you need to take the knight, because if you take the pawn, the queen is eyeing the h4 square, so you need to take the knight. And in this position, Kasparov said that he is a king up, which is funny, because if you look the white king, he is in jail. He can't escape. So if we go back, Kasparov played g4, Piket harassed the rook with knight to c7, and in this position, Kasparov ignored the rook and played g3, the best move. Here I'm going to show you another line. If Piket would play h takes g3, Kasparov needed to calculate this, the typical King's Indian sacrifice. F takes g3 and bishop takes. Bishop to h6, going for e3 check or f4. We would see something like knight takes, knight to h5. The knights are eyeing f4 and g3 square. Bishop goes back to f2. Knight from g to f4. You would see something like knight to d3. Rook eyes the king, and we have a trade. Bishop takes, and the best move, g4. Bishop would took the rook. Queen takes the rook, and the bishop and knight on f4. Queen back to e3, defends the bishop, and h5. This is the line which Kasparov calculated, and he said that this is hopeless for white, and black has a clear advantage. And the white king is not safe on g1 square. So if we go back to g3 move, which Kasparov played, here in this position, Piket tried, and I should mention here that Piket said that he was expecting something like here when he accepted the rook, Piket was expecting Kasparov to play it g takes on f2, rook takes, and queen takes the knight. But that didn't happen. Piket took the knight, and Kasparov shocked him with the move knight to h5. And king to h1 needs to be played, or you're going to get checkmated. Excuse me. G takes on f2, and rook takes. Knight gave a check on g3. And here, if you accept the knight, you will get checkmated, because if you take, pawn takes, attacks the rook, and the queen will come to h4 square. A typical idea in King's Indian defense, to suffocate the white king. So Kasparov gave a check, Piket went to g1, and here Kasparov took the knight. So if we look at this position, we can see the material is equal. And here Piket played bishop to c4 square. And the next move is a very quiet move, but a very powerful one. And the move is a6. a6 is a very nasty move, which opens the dark squares. So when the queen goes to a7, it will pin the rook, and on the other hand, it stops the a pawn from marching forward and controls the b5 square. Piket tried queen to d3, pinning the rook with queen to a7 and b5. A takes, bishop takes, and here in this position I'm going to ask you to pause the video and try to win the game with black pieces. Kasparov played a brilliant move, which is knight to h1. The idea is the rook is pinned. You cannot move the rook. You can accept the knight, but then the queen takes the rook. And if you don't accept the knight will just take the rook. So in this position, we can resign the game. And yeah, thank you guys for watching the video. So far, if you enjoy my chess content, please you're welcome to subscribe to my channel, give a thumbs up, share my videos with your chess lovers, friends, family, and I'm going to produce and make more chess content, and we will see you soon with the next video. Thank you and goodbye.